right, let me unmute myself. Okay. All right, here I am. How are you today? My name is Anastasia Arauz. If this is your first time joining us, and I am a family therapist and a family life coach trying to help families become healthier, both physically and mentally. And so I'm doing that through either having family therapy sessions or family coaching sessions and using the knowledge that I've gotten over the years in my teaching and being a school counselor, and then also working with families privately. So if you're new to this, hopefully this will help you. Today's topic isn't the most fun topic. It's actually a really hard topic to talk about, but I thought it was important because I've gotten some comments on it on my social media from different people. And just, I wanted to share my perspective and what I do in my house. And then what also I tell the families in the office that I see that bring this up. School shootings today are a reality, right? It happens not just in schools, it happens at malls, it happens in parking lots, it happens everywhere. I think it's something that none of us want to happen. I think it's rare in the big scheme of things, but it's something that occurs periodically and something we're living with now as Americans. And so I think it's something that we need to be thinking about. It's something that needs to be in our head, but also not going overboard about it, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about how I address it with my son and just what we talk about in therapy sessions. So let me go ahead and get started with you really quick. Here we are. Okay, so the anxiety in the school shootings. Now, when I talk about anxiety in school shootings, I'm really talking about us as parents. I know our kids can get it too, but really it's us that I think have more anxiety over it than the kids. Kids are so present and so egocentric, right? They just think about themselves and they think about the time now. They're not usually thinking about the past or the future. That's one really cool thing about being a kid is they focus on the present and what's happening right now. And I'm sure you've experienced this with your kids. I know, here's an example of something I experienced with my son's kids as they were growing up. So they lived with their mom part-time and they lived with us just at certain times of the year. They would come and visit. And it was interesting to me at how good they were at separating the two spaces, right? And they wouldn't necessarily be thinking about what was going on at home. They would always be in the moment of what was happening with us. And I think that's great for kids. It gives them protection, right? Because they're not sitting there worried about their other parent or other things going on or whatever. They're just thinking about what's happening now. So it's a protection for them in a way to be able to focus on the present. And I wish that we all could do that, right? And I think that's a lot of where meditation comes in and different things to help us get back to that place of just being present and focused on now, because that's really all we have is right this second, like right now. We don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes. We don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes. Right now, as we just have this moment. And so if we as parents could be better at focusing on that, I think it would help our kids. All right. So, so some things that I want to address today are talking points with your kids, how to address your fear and their fear, but really our fear as adults. And then what about active shooter drills? What do you think of those? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? And I'll give you my thoughts and opinions about it, and just some things that I've read of why they do them and how they can be helpful or not helpful if you think in that way. So talking points with kids. Now, depending on the age of your child would depend on what you would talk about with them, right? So really thinking about the developmental level. Most little kids, like I would say elementary age, right? They're not thinking about this at all. It doesn't even cross their mind, right? And so for you to bring it up randomly is not going to help them necessarily, right? So really be thinking about the developmental and the age of your child before you start talking about this, because little kids aren't going to think about this. This is nothing. And here we go with the protection again. This is nothing they're thinking about because it's not happening right now, right? Pay attention to your anxiety as a parent. So if you are super anxious about this, which I think we all are, especially if you have school-age kids, because they're by themselves, they're not with us, we cannot protect them. think about your anxiety and how you're controlling it. What are you doing to help yourself through this? The media use in your home. How much media is on in computers, iPads, TV? What are they seeing? This is going to add to what you have to talk about, right? If they're not seeing a lot, then you're not going to have to talk about a lot. So the more that they're seeing, the more you're going to have to discuss and explain. And even if there is a lot of media in the home, if they're not asking you a ton of questions, I would let it be until they start asking and they start wondering. And if they do, think about it and then answer specifically what they're asking you. For example, was there a school shooting today? Yes, there was. There was a school shooting. And leave it at that and see what they say. Just leave it there and let them do the questions to you. And you only answer what they ask of you because that's what they can handle. Kids are not going to ask you anything that they cannot handle. And so I think a lot of time as parents, we give too much information, even myself. Like I know I've done it to my son where I'll share more than I need to be sharing because it's not even a concern of his, but I get in my head and I get in my anxiety and then I end up talking too much to him about a topic. So it's something that you have to be really present about and thinking about when you're talking about big subjects. The other one is avoiding it versus discussing it. It shouldn't be an avoidant topic in your home. It should be something that can be talked about in your house, but it doesn't have to be talked about all the time. It just shouldn't be something that's avoided and just pretending that's not happening. And it's two different thought processes in the brain. So you're not avoiding it, but then you're not really discussing it either, unless it's something that you need to discuss, unless it's happening with you or near you or just happened and it's on TV and kids are talking about it at school. You don't really need to talk about it unless there's a reason to be talking about it. So addressing your fear. So let's talk about our fear as adults for a second. It's a reality. It is something that is very normal fear to have for all of us is a shooting when you're not around for your child. But put it in perspective. So thinking about your city and your town, and then maybe your state, and then the United States. Think about how many schools there are just in your city and then in your state, and then just think bigger. Think of it does not happen every day. Has it happened in your city? It might have. Has it happened in your state? It might have. But put it in perspective that this is something that does not happen every day. It's fairly rare. It's a reality, but it doesn't happen all the time. Safe school time. Most of the time at school is safe. So I would say 90%, 99% of the time at school is safe. It's that small percentage that isn't. So address your fear and put it in perspective that it's not something that's going to happen every day. It isn't something that you need to be worrying about constantly. And yeah, we're going to think about it, but trying to put it in your own thoughts and your perspective. Think about it as what if versus what is. What is happening right now? What is happening in the present moment? Not necessarily what if. And if you can get this pretty like solid inside of you, it should be easier for you to address the fear. Thinking about what is happening versus what if. What if this happens? Because what if anything happens? What if you get in a car accident? What if you're at the grocery store and they don't have the milk you need? So you could constantly do the what ifs all the time, but really focusing on the what is happening right now. Your child's at school, they're having a good day, they're enjoying the lessons that are taught, they're at recess, they're having fun with their friends. So those are the self-talk messages you want to have in your head throughout the day if you are having a lot of anxiety around this topic. The other thing to think about is lecturing versus communicating. So for example, there was a school shooting, I don't even know when it was the end of last year, the one that happened in Texas. Now we did have the news on, so my son did see it. He was 9, he was 8 at the time, I think, when that happened. So he gets it, he gets what's happening. But here again, he's not completely scared about it because it didn't happen right here. It's far away to him, but he did hear about it. So instead of me lecturing, we communicated about it. We talked about it. I listened to his questions. I asked only what he wanted me to answer, or I answered only what he wanted me to answer based on his questions. And there wasn't a lecture like, you need to do this and this and this and this and this. It was more just communicating, and it was a conversation back and forth. I think a lot of the conversations we have with our kids need to be a conversation, less lecture, more communicating. So there's that respect that goes back and forth. And if you have that with something as big as a shooting, like school shootings, you can have that in all other areas. I think that's a really important thing to think about when you're trying to decipher how you're going to talk to your kids about it. Is it going to be a lecture, or is it going to be a communication conversation? Use your friendships. So where it says your friendships here, what are your friendships like? Do you have friends that you can talk to about this? Or just process through, what are their thoughts on it? How do they think about it? Because it's very normal that we'd all be freaked out about it, because it's a real thing. So use your friendships, use your family, use them as support to help you address your fear. And then finally, if you're not able to do this on your own, just through changing your mindset or thinking presently or doing whatever it is just individually in your house, then you might need to reach out and do some work with a therapist on anxiety and addressing your fear, because it would help. Definitely. You could give you more strategies. They could help you process where this is actually coming from, where the fear started, where did it originate? Was it a trauma? What is happening to cause this for you? Okay. All right. And so then finally, the active shooter drills. I know these are pretty controversial, and everyone has different opinions about it. So I just thought I would tell you why they could be a positive thing. One, it gives the school a safety plan. So we know something is in place, right? It gives the kids an understanding of what could happen, right? And here again, remember, they're present thinking. They're not thinking past, future, none of that, right? So when they do these shooter drills, they're thinking about it then, and then they're letting it go. Kids are not going to dwell on this unless they have some sort of anxiety issue. They're not going to dwell on this topic. So it's a safety plan for the teachers and the administration of the school to help them prepare if they need to. It decreases the reaction time, right? So it's going to decrease the reaction time of the teachers, the kids, the administration, because they've practiced it before. They know what to do. And then there's confidence when you're talking about it. Everyone understands what's going to happen. There's a plan in place. You're confident. You feel good about knowing that if something tragic like this does happen, there's something in place. We can know that there's something in place, and the kids will be safe, or safe as they can be. So in my opinion, I think they're a really good idea, because it gives everyone a chance to practice. And I talk about this all the time, practicing, even in bullying situations, doing role plays back and forth where you practice. So then when that happens, you have experience knowing what to do or say. So in my opinion, I think active shooter drills are good. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think about it? It is scary. I completely get that. And to think about a kindergartner having to think about a shooter coming into their classroom is just unbelievable. It's not even something we would ever think that would happen, but they need to practice it. And like I said, they have protection, right? Their brain will protect them because they're just thinking about the present. They're not thinking about the past or the future unless they have some severe anxiety issues. So typical, most kindergartners are just they're gonna do it. They're gonna laugh, they're gonna hide, they're gonna do whatever it is, and they're gonna move on with their day. And then the teachers will have practice knowing how to get the kids to where they need to be. They'll have practice getting the kids lined up, moving them to the places they need to go. So yes, it's scary, but I think it's necessary, especially in the day and time that we're in right now. So that was what I wanted to talk about today in regards to school shootings. I would love to hear any of your input or feedback of what you think. I also wanted to share that I finally have my coaching packages. This is just so you know, because I've had people texting and a couple of people asking me about it. So what I've done in the past is I've just been working on my therapy, and it all goes through in North Carolina through insurance. So to do that, that's easy. I've had that going on for a while, but for my coaching packages and my coaching, it's a different way of doing it because it's not through insurance. And then I can also work with people anywhere. So I finally have my coaching packages up on my webpage, and I would be glad to share that with you. I'll put the link below so you can see what they are. I have priced them just basically like I do my therapy. If you do a 4-session package, it's a little bit less than doing one session at a time. but you could do either. I also offer a 15-minute free consultation just to talk about whatever it is you're needing right now for your family. If you do want to do one of the packages of the 4 sessions or the individual, basically what we would do is we would do that consultation, we would talk about what you need, and then in the sessions, we would come up with a plan of how to address that. And I would help you formulating that plan. I would help you come up with some ideas, strategies, give you some templates with different things you could use in your home. I would also help you determine if you need therapy, right? If you need therapy for your family, if one of your children needs to see a therapist, or if you could handle this just in your home, working with me as a coach. But I could definitely help you with that. I can also help you with educational stuff. I was in the schools for years, so I can help you understand maybe what your child might need educationally and help you kind of decide where you would need to go with that if they're struggling in the school. And so it'd be comprehensive, just helping you all around, trying to get your family in a place that you feel happy and comfortable with. So definitely let me know if you are interested in that, because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move forward with that. And I have the time and I have it all ready to go for you to join me here on a virtual session. Anyway, that's it for today. If you have any questions or thoughts, please always reach out to me. And I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you here next week, Monday at 11 Eastern Standard Time. Have a good day. Bye.